Hey guys, this is Melissa Bachman. Are you ready to stop spooking deer before it's even time to hunt them? Then you need the new Flex S Dark cellular trail camera from SpyPoint. With a no-glow flash option, long-lasting solar power, and a ton of settings that can be changed anytime through the SpyPoint app, there are no more excuses for letting your deer get wise before the season even starts. So check it out for yourself and see why the SpyPoint Flex S Dark is the unstoppable and undetectable scouting tool you need for your next hunt.
Midway USA offers a wide selection of high-quality magazines from top manufacturers catering to various firearm platforms and specific disciplines of shooting. 223 is a staple, and 6mm ARC mags are just a few clicks away. If you own a clock, just bought a 6-hour, or want to shoot your 1911 a little more, you can visit midwayusa.com to get another magazine. Plinkers with a Ruger 1022 can have nearly as much fun shopping for a drum magazine as they can shooting it at the range. For just about everything for shooting, shop midwayusa.com.
Welcome to the Casting Across Fly Fishing Podcast. I'm Matthew of castingacross.com, where I explore the quarry and culture of fly fishing. So, the culture and quarry of fly fishing, right? Quarry makes a whole lot of sense. That's the fish. That's what we're after. That's the kind of the focal point of this whole thing that we do. But there's more to it than that. The culture. It's the people, places, and things that go into the pursuit of fish, as I like to say also. And this last weekend, I had the opportunity to get away with my 4 oldest boys and really have a great time in a culture of fly fishing sort of way. So I'm going to talk about that today and hopefully give you some encouragement to do either what I did next year or something like I did in the coming weeks and months of this year. So what did I do? Well, we live in southern New Hampshire, excuse me. Yeah, that's where I live, southern New Hampshire, which is not that far from southern Vermont. And something that I've been seeing on social media that I got emails about for the last few months is the American Museum of Fly Fishing's Summer Fly Fishing Festival. I thought that sounds kind of fun, but I had seen it for the previous few years, but I always thought, man, this time of year, August, this is a great time to get out and fish. I mean, especially because I'm so close to the ocean. I mean, the stripers are here, and there's a lot of trout water that's still very, very fishable. And of course, I mean, this is the kind of time of the year and the conditions where the warm water fishing is just spectacular. But that said, it has been pretty dry. I mean, the water is low. We hadn't gotten rain in about a week until actually last night. And so I thought, if there's going to be a time where I don't fish in the middle of fishing season, I think this is a good time. So I packed my 4 oldest boys up in the back of the new minivan, and which is much, much more comfortable than the old minivan, especially with that many and that size of children. And we went to southern Vermont and we camped because from where I live to Manchester, Vermont, which is in the southwestern corner of the state, that's a bit of a overgeneralization, but that's roughly where it is in that little pyramid-shaped state that is Vermont. It's about 2.5 hours, and I didn't want to subject them to 5+ hours in the car. I actually wanted to kind of take our time and slow down and see the sights and do more than just go from point A to point B. And so we hopped in the van, we went camping, which was a lot of fun. It was a very simple camping trip, and we were able to just kind of enjoy a comfortable evening with the campfire, with s'mores, and the stars. Wake up the next morning, did a lovely breakfast, and then headed over to Manchester. Now, if you've not spent much time in Vermont, it's an absolutely gorgeous state. It's a little bit of a strange state. I'm not ashamed to say that. I think that Vermont, New Hampshire, and Maine are each their own kind of weird. It's just an interesting thing. I mean, I'm not from here, but I've been here for 15 years, and I can say that with a lot of certainty. But Vermont is beautiful. I spent the better part of a week up in northern Vermont just last month, and this month I spent, like I said, a couple days in southern Vermont. And we made our way from the southeast part of Vermont across the valleys and mountains to the southwest part of Vermont, where we arrived in Manchester. Now, Manchester is an absolutely beautiful place. Years and years ago, I wrote an article about how Manchester is a legitimate kind of fly fishing destination, even though the Battenkill isn't what it once was. Even though a lot of those streams aren't what they once were, it still is a legitimate fly fishing destination for a few reasons. One, the fisheries are still very, very viable. And there's a lot of folks there that will tell you that, hey, in these doldrums of summer when the trout rivers are not moving and the fish are pretty stressed out, there is plenty of great carp fishing to have. There's lots of great warm water fishing to have. There's toothy fish that you can go after. You can go up in the mountains and chase brook trout. So it's still legitimate in that sense. But then there's two other major reasons. One is the flagship store of Orvis, which, to be fair, it's lost a little bit of its luster because of the fact that there are really, really good Orvis stores all over the country, Orvis company stores. And if you're an angler and really only interested in fly fishing stuff only, then you can get all of that gear at all sorts of fly shops. You can get that stuff at kind of big box stores too, which is all fine and good. But the flagship store still is cool. It's a beautiful structure. It's in a absolutely wonderful location, and they have a trout pond with lots of big broodstock fish that you can watch and feed. And there's also a lot of things that they have going on, and it's a legitimate fly shop. And there are other fly shops in town. But then the third thing, besides you got fish, you've got Orvis, and I'm an admitted bit of an Orvis file of just sort of growing up and having worked at an Orvis shop. So that's just fun on its own. But then the target destination, of course, was the American Museum of Fly Fishing. It's situated just adjacent to Orvis, just to the south, and they have lovely grounds, and they're in an old home that's been kind of retrofitted out to be the American Museum of Fly Fishing. And before we get to the festival, I just want to talk about the museum itself. So right now, if you go in, there's a couple of main exhibits. One is kind of early and mid-century fly fishing artwork, and it's absolutely awesome stuff. It's the kind of stuff that you would have seen like on a Field and Stream cover from back in maybe the early part of the 20th century. And I mean that's really kind of underselling it, but it's really the kind of things that my boys, 13 and 11 and 8 and 6, went from painting to painting. And this includes a 6-year-old who is very, very museum averse. That's what happens when you are number 4 out of 5 in a homeschooling family, is that you get to go to museums much, much younger than you probably should. And so he's overcoming his museum phobia. And he was able to go around and look at those. And behind that, there was an exhibit on Joan and Lee Wolfe. And so there was some memorabilia, some things that they had used. There were some of their works, and then there was lots of photography. And then, this is the 21st century. There was a beautifully rendered screen with some of their archival footage playing up on that, just kind of on rotation, both of Lee and of Joan. So this is kind of cool for my boys to just sit and watch and, be engaged in that way. But I sat and watched as well. So these were 2 exhibits on one wing of the first floor. And then they have their store, and they have a lot of interesting things that are for sale and go to support the museum. And then the other thing that you had downstairs is a room of flies. Now, this is really cool. And my oldest son, who he and I went to the Pennsylvania fly fishing museum earlier this summer, and one of the things that he liked there was that there's one room at that museum in Pennsylvania that is just fly displays. So it's usually a photograph of the tire, maybe a little bit of a biographical sketch on him or her, and then a bunch of their flies all around it. Now, for that Pennsylvania Fly Fishing Museum, it really is PA focused. Now, Pennsylvania is a big state, and some of the folks that kind of call it home or an adopted home fish in all sorts of places. But the American Museum of Fly Fishing definitely has a wider scope, and both in space and in time. So back in history, as well as kind of across the globe. And so he just loved walking around, and the other boys did as well, as did I, and seeing all of the different patterns tied by the hands that either made them popular or came up with them. Saltwater, freshwater, big, large. There was old dresser drawers, basically, you could pull out and see just fly after fly after fly. And for them, it's cool. I mean, they have the appreciation that these are special things, that these are what tie us to the generations that came before us. And I think that's a really, really cool thing. I mean, yeah, you can look at a Clouser minnow, but look at a Clouser minnow tied by Bob Clouser is something cool. You can, see a wolf pattern, but to see a pattern tied by one of the wolves is very, very cool. So that's basically the downstairs in a nutshell. And then upstairs was absolutely, breathtaking in my humble opinion, because upstairs there's some tackle, there's some photographs, there's some paintings, but it is book after book after book. In short order here on Casting Across, I'll probably put up some photographs of this, but if you know me at all from listening to the podcast, from reading the website, and from watching my book reviews on YouTube, you know that I absolutely am infatuated with the literary history and heritage of fly fishing. And what is upstairs at the American Museum of Fly Fishing is the most awe-inspiring collection of angling literature that I have ever seen. If you like to read fly fishing books and you are anywhere near the American Museum of Fly Fishing, you need to do yourself a favor and go there and check it out. It's not just books; it's back editions of fly fishing magazines, just stored in box after box after box. It's amazing. It's the kind of thing where, I mean, I don't think I touched a single thing. I don't think I opened a single thing. I just looked at spines of books, and that was worth my time in there. It's also a bit of a precarious thing to have a 6-year-old and an 8-year-old, and even the older kids in that kind of space. I'm always have one eye on them and one eye at what I am looking at. But it is wonderful. It's actually, and I'm a little bit ashamed to admit this is the first time I've been inside. Every other time I've been to southern Vermont, they have been closed. There has been some sort of private event going on, and this one I guess I shouldn't be ashamed about. I've been there on like anniversary vacation with my wife. So we didn't go to the American Museum of Fly Fishing for that. But anyway, what brought us there this time? Well, these are these cultural events I think are really fun. I mean, yes, there is a marketplace, economical advertising side to it. Yes, I mean, there were some fundraising opportunities for the American Museum of Fly Fishing. There were vendors, and that's all there. But it was incredibly tasteful, if that's a okay way to phrase it. I didn't feel like I was being sold anything. It was free. I mean, the food you have to pay for. If you wanted a fly ride, you had to pay for it. But it was definitely very, very chill, casual. The fact that it was outdoors was nice. But the boys absolutely loved it. They loved the wood-fired pizza. They loved the hot dogs. And they loved tasting maple syrup samples, but they loved walking around and looking at things. If you have kids and they are mildly well behaved, bringing them something like this is awesome, because I genuinely believe that the older generations understand and appreciate that they need to kind of show kids the exciting value of the full scope of fly fishing. And so I really appreciated all the attention and care that people spent on my boys. The youngest two went to like a story time. It's a book I'd read them a dozen or so times, but they enjoyed it. They also went to like a fly tying booth that was this exaggerated like arts and crafts fly tying, where they had bent a coat hanger into a hook that was about the size of your hand. It was probably like a 6/0 hook, I guess, was what it would have been. And they used big craft supplies, and the boys absolutely loved that. The bigger boys liked looking through the artwork, looking through the old tackle, talking to people at the Vermont Trout Camp, which is the Vermont version of the TU youth camps. I was able to talk with a gentleman who is a Virginia tackle dealer, and used to have a fly shop on the east slope of the Shenandoah Mountains, one that I had gone to a number of times back when I was a teenager just starting out. And it was really kind of cool to put two and two together, that I had met him early on in my fly fishing journey. It didn't hurt that he also had some 80s and 90s era rods that are very interested in, I'm very interested in, which, here, as a caveat to all of this, if you come across some Orvis Superfine Graphite, the original series, and it has a serial number of, or not a serial number, a butt stamped date of 0883. Let me know. I'm very curious in acquiring some of those, particularly the 2, 3, and 4 weights. But anyway, yeah, 0883. Look for that. Find one, let me know. Matthew at Casting Across. All right, so just walking around, seeing the vendors, old stuff, new stuff, fly fishing things, fly fishing adjacent things. But again, they had other activities as well, and one was a casting competition. Now, there wasn't a huge field of competitors, but myself and my 2 oldest sons signed up, and it was fun. The folks from Orvis came over to kind of run it, and they had prizes for the participants, and it was just simple 3 targets and then distance. And A really cool thing is they didn't bust out the newest Helios rod. They didn't use the like bottom end, but still good, Clearwater stuff. They brought out their new Superfines, and as a casting competition with a 3-weight, which is perfect for summertime in Vermont. And so that was a lot of fun I'd cast that rod back right when it came out at the fly fishing show this winter, but it was fun to use it on a casting competition. I probably would have been a lot better if I would have bought it. The 3-weight was in my cart. I was looking at it. I almost bought it back in February, but I didn't. So I probably would have done a little bit better. But I was able to get very close to doing really, really well. My foot was on my line when I was trying to lay out the longest target, and so that probably kept me from being in the top spot and dropped me down to the third, which is okay because I have a wonderful lightweight rubber-coated net, which is an awesome thing to have. It was a wonderful prize, a real surprise. But the real highlight from the casting competition was my 13-year-old was able to get first place. And so we were actually in Orvis and looking around at stuff, getting some air conditioning, and he is looking at rods and reels. I get a phone call saying, hey, you and your son each placed in the casting competition. When you come on back over to the museum grounds to get your prizes, we walk over there and they hand him a brand new 5-weight rod, reel, line, and case. So he was absolutely ecstatic. I mean, that made the trip worth it alone. So it was a really, really good time. Again, people were just so nice, as is almost always often the case in fly fishing. But this is the kind of thing that happens all over the country at various fly fishing museums. I know the Catskill Museum has a summer event. I know there's a event at the one in North Carolina, the one in Pennsylvania. Obviously, I went to this one here in Vermont. But of course, local TU chapters do similar things. Get a couple of vendors in, have a casting competition, throw some hot dogs at you. And these kind of things, yes. Are you fly fishing when you're doing them? No. But kind of like what I say when I promote the fly fishing shows in January, February, and March. Yes, you can spend that time, energy, effort, and resources to go fly fishing one more time. Totally fine. And there's nothing wrong with that. And if you think that is your priority, then I'm not going to argue. But don't feel bad about taking a few hours, maybe even a few days, maybe a little bit of money, maybe a little bit of travel to go and experience the culture of fly fishing and to bring people along with you. I find that events like this give my kids a shot in the arm to get out there and get fishing, particularly with a fly rod, in a way that is very, very helpful for them to see other kids doing it, for them to get a fly handed to them by a fly tyer, and then they become determined to go use that fly and learn about that fly. They pick up a book and now they're reading and rereading a pamphlet about the fishes of northern New England. Those kind of things, in my opinion, are invaluable for my kids. And then for me, it's just a nice reprieve from being a creator of fly fishing stuff and becoming a consumer of fly fishing stuff. And I enjoy that as well. And getting it in that unmediated face-to-face form. Yeah, you can get that at a fly shop, you can get that at a TU meeting, that's great. But the kind of stuff that you get at events like this are the kind of things usually you'd be getting from a blog or a YouTube video or something like that. They had other events that I was unable to attend, a couple of talks on fly rods and on some baseball players that had been fly fishing during their playing career. But I was unable to sit through those. All right, let me just put it this way. I chose not to, given the crowd that I was with. But American Museum of Fly Fishing did a spectacular job. If you have not been, I would encourage you to go. It's definitely a lot of fun. It's the kind of thing that my kids are now like, what other museums can we go to? And I think that's a wonderful thing. So we had a great time. Weather was absolutely spectacular. Sun was a little bit brutal, but hey, it is what it is. We got some maple creamies on the way home. If you've never had a maple creamy, it is a Vermont specialty where it is maple vanilla soft serve. It is just delightful. And because you only eat in the summer, it's good for you, I guess. So anyway, that was our kind of 24 hours in Vermont just this last weekend. But Like I said, you don't have to travel all the way up to Manchester or Roscoe or Carlisle to get events like this. You can find them locally wherever you are. Maybe you have to drive a little bit like we did, but they're definitely worth doing and pursuing. You make connections. I mean, I didn't even talk about that aspect of it. Folks that I guess I did mention one, that gentleman that I hadn't seen in probably 25, 30 years. But other people that I'd seen at the fly fishing shows is fun and a little bit more laid back setting to talk with them for a few minutes and then get to meet new folks. I mean, it's not always a perfect overlap. I mean, there's a bit of a Venn diagram going on at different fly fishing events, even if you talk about the Northeast. But I have some stuff that I kind of gleaned from my time at the American Museum of Fly Fishing's Summer Fly Fishing Festival that'll be trickling out to you in various ways on the website, on the podcast, and on the YouTube channel. So stay tuned for that. And if you have a fly fishing event that you would like me to talk about or share with people, let me know. Matthew at castingacross.com. I'm always happy to share good stuff from good people. This week on Casting Across, first article that came out was called Bass on the Four-Weight. Bass on the Four-Weight. So the impetus for this article was my trip down to Virginia, which was a couple of months ago. I guess it was just in July. Anyway, but I only brought a 4-weight fly rod. I brought a spinning rod for the pond because I just anticipated being a ferry constantly for kids out on the canoe. And I thought, you know what? If I'm going to get any fishing in, I'm just going to make it easy, and I'm going to fish with a spinning rod. And I did. I did some spin fishing. But watching those panfish chase after dragonflies really kind of broke my brain and said, I need to do this with a fly rod. So the only fly rod I had was a 4-weight fiberglass rod I brought for the mountain trout, but I still took it out there and was thinking about how, yeah, this is not ideal, but it works. And there's a few things that you can do to make it work better. So I go through, if you only have a lightweight fly rod out of a situation like I had, where there was kind of like the limit, how you limited yourself based on your choices, or you are limited in that you only have a 4-weight rod, or you are just getting started in fishing for warm water fish and you're just going to give it a shot. I talk about some of the things that you can do to make really casting easier. That's the only limiting factor, is casting and the size of flies. So I talk about a few different things you can do to really basically go fishing for largemouth bass with a 4-weight and do it effectively. And Wednesday's article is called Video, Ye Old Fly Fisher. So this is another kind of history-focused piece this week. And there is a gent named Ken Reinard who goes by the Colonial Angler. Maybe old Colonial Angler, maybe not, probably not. But I ran into Ken at the fly fishing show, not this one, this week, but back in Edison, New Jersey in the wintertime. But I have known Ken since I was 16 years old. That's when I watched him make a presentation on what fly fishing in the 1770s was like. And as I explained in the video, this was after a day of waking up super early to fish, sitting in a classroom, doing manual labor for conservation work, eating a big hearty meal, and doing that like 3 days in a row. Then I was supposed to sit and listen to this guy talk about history, but I was absolutely just completely locked in on what he was doing. And I was able to watch his presentation a number of other times as the director of that very same fly fishing camp later in life, and have been able to talk to him a few times since. But all that to say, I talk about his book, The Colonial Angler's Manual for Fly Fishing and Fly Tying. And I share that book on YouTube this week. So definitely go ahead and check that out. This week's recommendation on the podcast is an article on Casting Across, but what it is, it's from back in the archives, is a list of fly fishing museums. So yeah, you can Google fly fishing museum and you're going to find stuff. This is a nice, concise package of all of that information. And there might be more out there. I don't sit there and have an alert on Google to let me know when a new fly fishing museum opens. But if you know of one that's not on that website, please let me know. So even if you aren't super interested in going to one, but you know about one, head over to the link in the show notes for this podcast page over at castingacross.com. Check out that link. See if one of those one of those fly fishing museums that you know about is not in there, and then let me know. Matthew at castingacross.com. Thanks for listening to the Casting Across Fly Fishing podcast. Please subscribe in your favorite podcast app and then rate the podcast in Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Then head over to castingacross.com for 3 posts a week on the people, places, and things that go into the pursuit of fish.
Want to plan your next fishing trip without the hassle? FishingBooker.com is the best way to find and book a fishing charter anywhere in the world. Whether you're chasing trophy fish or just looking for a family day on the water, FishingBooker makes it simple, fast, and secure. With thousands of experienced guides, verified reviews, and 24/7 customer support, FishingBooker takes the guesswork out of planning. Visit FishingBooker.com and book your trip today. FishingBooker. Fishing trips made easy.
Bow hunting all comes down to a moment. And in the moment, you want equipment on your bow that will get the job done. Trophy Ridge products are the tools bow hunters trust. React technology sights, rests, stabilizers, and quivers to help a bow hunter be successful in the field. And those tools are from Trophy Ridge.